speaks nicely, doesn't he? Joining us now is vampire fan Rath, who's a member of the Vampire Society and thinks it's all jolly good fun, really, and Bishop Manchester, who believes it very definitely isn't. Let's get this bishop business cleared up. I mean, you are a bishop in the old Catholic Church?
That's correct.
Which isn't the same as the Roman Catholic Church that we all know about.
No, it seceded from the Roman Church in 1724 and is independent, but has valid sacraments and orders recognised by Rome.
Okay. Well, if generations of children and adults have had a good laugh and a good old shiver in the dark at vampires, I mean, why do you take them so seriously?
Well, I'm an exorcist, have been for a quarter of a century, and I take the casting out of demons very seriously, and I consider, as do other clergy, the vampire to be a manifestation of the demonic horde, the demonic legions.
So actually, you genuinely believe that vampires exist, they're real?
I believe that amongst the demonic legion there are those demons with vampiric attributes, which can only best be described in those terms.
And you say that you've actually killed, slain too?
No, killing and slaying is not, that would only apply to human, and I have no human enemies. My enemies are
two vampires.
My enemies are the principalities of darkness, and I have exorcised, that is cast out.
Yeah.
You can't kill, you can only remove.
But I thought you went into Highgate Cemetery and went into a tomb and saw, according to press coverage at the time, saw a sort of creature with horrible eyes.
Absolutely. A manifestation, that's right. Yes.
What did you do to it?
And not only I, but many others besides.
And what did you do to it?
Eventually, but not there, I managed, with great care and attention, to exorcise it in the ancient and approved manner, by the incineration of fire and the rite for the dead and the various exorcisms.
Did you put a stake through its heart?
It was dispatched I mean, desperate measures in desperate times were applied. Yes.
But how do you know it wasn't a real person, sort of, you know, freaking out on drugs? You might have murdered somebody.
Because it was capable of metamorphosis and it was demonic. There is no way that a demon could be mistaken for a person.
Just one question before we come to Tina. I mean, I'm not being rude, all right? I promise you, but a lot of people watching will think, he's bonkers. I mean, he's actually out to lunch. You really think these things exist? And you've actually taken... Well, you promised us you've actually taken care to it.
I'm merely telling you what the Church has been telling you for 2,000 years. I'm saying no more, no less. But the Judeo-Christian tradition has always believed in demons. And demons with vampiric attributes, that is to say, those that suck the life force, drain you of your energy till you expire, satanic emissaries, if you will, have been the part of the belief system of the Judeo-Christian system all along.
So you're seeing it almost as a kind of allegory, really? I mean, it's not that you really think there are people with pointy teeth going around sucking people's...
No,
all right, spirits or
masquerading demons.
But with pointy teeth and
they can masquerade as absolutely anything.
All right. Tina, in praise of vampires, please.
Well, they're fun. They were largely invented by Dr. John William Polidori in 1819. They haven't been part of the tradition for 2,000 years. There was an outbreak of vampire belief in Middle Europe in the 18th century, which was acknowledged as being quite new and strange. Don Calmet, an Augustinian, wrote about them, and he had obviously never heard of them before.
What you're saying is that the vampires that you know and love are real people like you camping it up?
Yes. Well, no, they're fiction.
Vamping it up?
They're fiction. They're not real at all. They're in books, they're in films, and people can dress up and pretend.
Yes.
If they were real, who would pretend? They'd be horrible.
Well, see, what he's saying that you do by sort of enjoying vampires and celebrating vampires, it's a bit like the Ouija board syndrome. You're kind of there encouraging some sort of evil intent.
Naturally, any celebration or glorification of evil or darkness is a way of opening a door to darkness. Seek and you'll find. Seek darkness, death, destruction, disease, and you'll find it, sure enough.
But if you're just seeking a good time,
there's no harm in fancy dress. There's not even harm in enjoying a good film which frightens. Particularly where it's a crusade against the devil, as the original Dracula.
You mean you're saying that playing around with it masks the deep evil underneath?
The problem with certain groups and organisations today is that they wish to emulate the vampire.
Well, like you do.
Is that they...
No, she must have a good time, don't you?
So you're not aware of members of your own society that sleep in coffins, that visit graveyards at night, that have had fangs put into their mouths?
We've only got 10 seconds left, so
yes, thanks for fancy dress. Not to imitate a non-existent evil.
Well, non-existent in your opinion. Death will find you soon enough.
I come out feeling that you wouldn't agree, but anyway, thank you both for coming in.
I can understand how the romantic image is fascinating, particularly for the cinema and literature. It has very little well, it has nothing to do with that demonic manifestation which itself is perhaps the most malign of its type.
As well as those who have what I would call schizotypal personalities, there are others, I have to say, who are members of the Vampire Society and other affiliated groups who one must describe as narcissistic personality disorders. By this I mean people who are rather self-obsessed, who are interested in the way people see them, and who like dressing up because of the way other people look at them, who are concerned about their body image and their shape, and want to be loved and liked, and basically are doing it for attention. I love me, what's your hobby?
My name is Louis Delannoy, and I've been a member of the Vampire Society for over 2 years now. I don't know, I suppose I'm tall, slim, elegant, flamboyant, overwhelming, powerful to an extent, sensitive, caring. Sounds a bit egotistical, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm quite bad-tempered as well. So
one thing is for sure, it's like a drug, that the interest in this fearfully fascinating subject by certain groups of people is so strong that they are hooked on it.
It's a group of people with an interest in the Gothic and a lot of interest in vampires and a great deal of interest in showing off. We like costume, we have fun.
A certain amount of this might be regarded as harmless up to a point, particularly where people are young and adventurous. But there is a growing trend, and I have been witness to it, of those people who are more than willing to drink the blood of their partners, to drink the blood of strangers, to drink blood communally, and to partake of ceremonies and rituals which at the very kindest can only be described as satanic.
We're not interested, very, very not interested in people that drink blood. I mean, our ceremonies mainly involve in drinking red wine, well, occasionally too much red wine, and at Whitby going down to the beach and paddling at 1 o'clock in the morning in September.
no, we're not evil at all, and neither are we occultists. Or maybe we do have evil members in society, but if they are evil, then it's not apparent to every other member in the society. I guess it's just, people's attitudes towards something that's a little bit different, that there's got to be something wrong with it. Maybe it's weird, which perhaps to a degree makes it evil. But no, we're not evil at all. Look at me, how could you call me evil?
The vampire, when it manifests, whether it is corporeal or in a transitory, if almost non-material, spectral condition, the vampire is masquerading to trick us, to seduce us, to bring us into its world, where we will thence fall prey.
There are what they call psychic vampires. I'm sure that most of it, at one time during our lives, everybody has met a psychic vampire, maybe on a tube or on a train or even in Sainsbury's shopping, for example. Somebody who just suddenly you just feel extremely tired, as if somebody has drained you of all your energy. There are people out there who can do that, who actually sap your energy.
I have come across someone who purports to believe in what he describes as a spiritual kind of vampire, but that's all. And certainly no one in the society. I've met a lot of people who would really, really like to think that somewhere over the horizon there was a beautiful man who was going to sweep them off their feet.
Do not fear me.
There are certain medical conditions in which people can develop what we call paranoid delusions. which may, in a limited number of cases, involve thoughts about being persecuted or attacked by vampires. People who have, if I can call it, vampire-specific delusions, believe that they are in danger from being attacked by some sort of outside force who will fly in through the window and do all the sort of things that vampires are supposed to do, and they'll often take elaborate precautions against this, i.e. they will have cloves of garlic and crosses and all that kind of thing.
Yes, I was a police officer in Stoke-on-Trent in 1972. I was 22 years of age. I was called to the house and shown to his room, which was an upstairs bedroom. Knocked on the door several times, no reply. The door was obviously bolted from the inside, and with their permission, forced the door. When I went into the bedroom, tried the light, which didn't work. There's no light bulb in. And by torchlight, found on the bed what appeared to be, first of all, a pile of blankets. Pulled those back and discovered the body of Demetrius Mekakura. It was then that I noticed that there were several bags of what appeared to be salt and garlic cloves scattered about. Later research that I carried out into this business proved that, of course, one of the methods of protection from vampires is to put garlic into the natural orifices of the body to stop the vampire spirit going into the body, and this is no doubt what Mr. Mekakura had done.
Death is the last of the century, the last taboo. We're not supposed to talk about it. If we eat enough fibre and jog, then we won't die, really, but we will. And young people have the images of the skull, the mourning dress, the coffin, the vampire. It shocks their parents, and it enables them to think about death, which is inevitable, to look into the coffin without fear or disgust.
Is still life in the old lady yet? Wait! Come back! You are what you are!
I mean, we'd all like to live forever. I mean, a vampire is not immortal, it can be killed. But it's just that dream that I could spend the next 200 years looking just as I do now. Maybe not the same clothes, because they might get a little bit smelly, but to actually keep the same features and everything for the next 200 years. That's got to be a dream that everybody has at one time. Everybody's afraid of death.
There is a danger for those who are so attracted to the cult that they not only want to dress up and appear as though they were a cinematic vampire, but, as I know is the case, want to transcend the very border of life and death themselves. They don't just want to visit sepulchral places, ruined, forgotten tombs. They want to occupy them eternally. This is the danger.
In the past, people became obsessed with certain religious things, and they still do. But it's more common for people to be more interested in religious ideas. But more recently, they've been substituted by things, although vampirism is not very common, but things like that, where they will build up a whole cult surrounding what essentially is something which has been manufactured by the movie industry.
Vampires have incorporated themselves into everyday life. At the Christmas just past, one could walk into Boots and buy a Dracula bubble bath. It's in everyday life now.
Romance is there too. And the wealth fantasy, and the immortality fantasy, and the fantasy of oceans of perfectly safe sex. It's all there. I mean, the vampire has everything.